The morning of October 20th, 2025, began with an unsettling calm. The sun rose slowly over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the West Philippine Sea. For fishermen and coastal communities, it seemed like any other day, quiet, almost serene. But beneath the surface, tensions simmered and the stillness felt heavy, as if the sea itself was holding its breath, anticipating what was to come. Over these contested waters, the sense of unease was palpable. The West Philippine Sea, a lifeline for millions, has long been a stage for power plays and territorial disputes. Its vast expanse hides not only rich marine resources, but also the ambitions of nations vying for control. On this particular morning, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel, the BRP Gabriela Silang, was conducting a routine patrol near Scarborough Shoal, a flashpoint in the ongoing maritime dispute. The crew, seasoned by years of tense encounters, scanned the horizon for anything out of the ordinary. Suddenly they spotted something unusual breaking the surface of the water. A structure, seemingly new and unfamiliar, appeared to be emerging from the waters. It was not a fishing boat, or a natural formation, but something artificial, its silhouette stark against the gentle waves. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, realizing the potential implications of their discovery. News of the sighting traveled fast. Within hours, Manila was abuzz with breaking news alerts. Headlines flashed across television screens and social media feeds, igniting fears of a dramatic escalation in the long-standing dispute over the shoal. Ordinary citizens, already accustomed to maritime tensions, felt a new wave of anxiety sweep through the capital. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. wasted no time. He convened an emergency meeting with top military and security officials, determined to assess the situation and formulate a response. The stakes were high, and every decision carried the weight of national sovereignty. Intelligence reports soon suggested that the structure bore hallmarks of Chinese construction. If confirmed, a permanent Chinese outpost would not only solidify Beijing's control over this vital fishing ground, but also create a strategic military triangle, further encircling the Philippines and projecting power deep into Southeast Asia. In response, the Philippine Navy and Air Force were placed on high alert. Warships and patrol aircraft were dispatched to monitor the area, their crews bracing for any sign of escalation. The message was clear: the Philippines would not stand idly by. Meanwhile, diplomatic channels buzzed with urgent communications. Ambassadors and foreign ministers reached out to allies and partners, seeking support and clarity. The crisis was no longer just a local issue, it had become a matter of international concern. The crew of the BRP Gabriela Silang documented the object meticulously, taking photographs and recording coordinates. They understood the gravity of their mission. Every image, every detail, could become crucial evidence in the days ahead. Their evidence was quickly relayed to Manila, where it was analyzed by experts and presented to government officials. These images could become the cornerstone of a new international protest, a rallying point for those who believed in upholding maritime law. The incident captured global attention. News outlets from Washington to Tokyo reported on the unfolding crisis, with allies expressing deep concern and calling for restraint. The world's eyes were now fixed on the West Philippine Sea. In high-level meetings, the Mutual Defense Treaty with the United States became a topic of intense discussion. Would the U.S. come to the Philippines' aid if the situation escalated? The question loomed large, underscoring the fragile balance of power in the region. The Scarborough Scare was more than a territorial dispute. It was a test of international law, a challenge to the rules-based order, and a stark reminder of the growing rivalry between a global superpower and a resilient nation determined to defend its rights. Around the world, people watched anxiously as events unfolded. World leaders monitored the crisis on large screens, aware that the decisions made in the coming days could shape the future of the region, and perhaps the world. As the sun set over Scarborough Shoal, military vessels from both sides maintained a tense standoff. The incident was a stark reminder of the delicate security balance in the region, and of how quickly calm seas can give way to stormy waters. As panic mounted, uncertainty gripped the nation. Rumors swirled through social media and news outlets, fueling anxiety on the streets and in government offices alike. The question on everyone's mind: was this the beginning of a new conflict, or just another false alarm? While the public speculated, a different investigation was quietly underway behind closed doors. Teams of analysts and intelligence officers worked around the clock, piecing together fragments of information, determined to separate fact from fiction. Experts in remote sensing and oceanography scrutinized high-resolution satellite imagery, building a detailed timeline of changes on the shoal's surface. Every pixel was examined for clues. Was this a new construction, or something else entirely? The findings were surprising, even to seasoned investigators. The structure that had sparked so much alarm was not a secret installation, but rather old debris, remnants of a long-forgotten shipwreck battered by years of storms and tides. The government moved quickly to address the public. At a press conference, officials confirmed that the mysterious structure was indeed wreckage, not evidence of a new Chinese base or military outpost. The incident, however, exposed just how quickly tensions in the region could escalate. Within hours, speculation had turned to fear, and fear to outrage. It underscored the Philippines' vulnerability in the contested waters, and highlighted the urgent need for enhanced maritime awareness and rapid response capabilities. The scare also brought into sharp focus the climate of mistrust that defines the Scarborough Shoal dispute. Diplomatic channels buzzed with activity while citizens took to the streets to voice their concerns about foreign intervention. China's well-documented history of using civilian projects to mask military intentions only fueled the belief that something more sinister was afoot. The line between civilian and military activity in the South China Sea has always been blurred, making every incident a potential flashpoint. Political analysts and military strategists debated the implications on live television, dissecting every detail and questioning China's strategic intentions. The skepticism was palpable, and trust, already fragile, seemed to erode further. Yet, the resolution of this incident did not close the book on the dispute. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one defined by heightened vigilance and a renewed commitment to transparency. Seizing the moment, the government released detailed satellite analysis to the public, aiming to dispel rumors and demonstrate accountability. It was a clear message to Beijing and the world. We are watching, and we will not be caught off guard. The debris itself may have been old, but the resolve it ignited among the Filipino people was new, stronger, more unified, and determined to protect their sovereignty. The incident became more than just a news story. It was transformed into a public information campaign, educating citizens about maritime security and the importance of vigilance. Through transparency and swift action, the Philippines demonstrated its unwavering commitment to both its people and its territorial integrity, sending a powerful signal that it would remain ever watchful in the face of uncertainty. Scarborough Shoal is a feature with a long history, intertwined with the Philippines. Known as Panatag Shoal, it has been a traditional fishing ground for centuries. Its rich lagoon provided sustenance for coastal communities. The shoal's modern history took a military turn, used by the U.S. and Philippine forces. Its strategic location guards the northeastern entrance to the South China Sea. Control of the shoal means control over a vital trade artery. The Philippines' claim is rooted in centuries of use and administration. The Scarborough Shoal saga intensified in 2012. A standoff erupted when Philippine forces attempted to apprehend Chinese vessels. China seized control of the shoal, maintaining a constant presence. Chinese vessels blocked Filipino fishermen, denying access to traditional waters. The blockade is economic strangulation, depriving communities of income. Chinese tactics intimidate, using water cannons and harassment. This gray zone strategy asserts control without triggering a military response. The conflict creates a crisis for Philippine fishing communities. The standoff is a daily struggle for survival for thousands of Filipinos. The Philippines chose the courtroom to challenge China's dominance. In 2013, it initiated arbitral proceedings under UNCLOS. The Philippines argued China's 9-dash line had no legal basis. The tribunal ruled in favor of the Philippines in 2016. It declared China's claims had no legal basis and affirmed Filipino fishing rights. The ruling was a monumental affirmation of international law. It transformed the dispute into a clear-cut legal issue. The Philippines became a victor in an international legal case. The ruling is the foundation of Philippine foreign policy on the West Philippine Sea. In a move that sent shockwaves through the international community, China flatly rejected the tribunal's ruling on the South China Sea dispute, dismissing it as null and void. Chinese officials stood firm at press conferences, reiterating their stance that the decision held no legal weight and wouldn't alter their actions or claims in the region. To reinforce its position, China launched a sweeping propaganda campaign. State media outlets and television broadcasts worked tirelessly to discredit the tribunal, framing the ruling as biased and illegitimate. The Chinese public was inundated with messages emphasizing national sovereignty and the supposed unfairness of international intervention. On the ground and at sea, China's non-compliance has been both systematic and absolute. Naval patrols and Coast Guard vessels have maintained a constant presence, enforcing blockades and asserting control over disputed waters with unwavering resolve. The blockade of Scarborough Shoal remains firmly in place. Filipino fishermen continue to face harassment and intimidation, unable to access traditional fishing grounds as Chinese vessels enforce their will. China's defiance is not just a regional issue, it directly challenges the international rules-based order. By ignoring the tribunal and continuing its activities, Beijing signals that it is willing to flout global norms to protect its interests. For China, control over the South China Sea is a core national interest, tied to both security and economic ambitions. High-level meetings and military drills underscore the seriousness with which Beijing views the region. Beijing plays a long game, leveraging its growing military and economic power to compel neighboring countries to acquiesce. Massive dredging projects and the construction of artificial islands further entrench its presence, altering the landscape and the balance of power. This ongoing defiance sets a dangerous precedent for international law. If a major power can simply ignore binding decisions, the authority of global institutions is called into question, threatening the stability of the international system. The Scarborough Shoal dispute has become a test case for global governance. ASEAN leaders and other stakeholders debate how best to respond, knowing that the outcome will shape future conflicts far beyond these waters. Around the world, governments and citizens alike watch closely, wondering if the principles of international law and justice can withstand the pressure of raw power. The question remains, can right truly prevail over might? Ultimately, the South China Sea dispute is more than a bilateral quarrel. It is a defining challenge to the international system, testing the resolve of nations to uphold the rules that govern peace and cooperation. Post-legal victory, the Philippines faced increased Chinese aggression. China uses gray zone tactics, involving its Coast Guard and maritime militia. Incidents near Ayungin Shoal involve dangerous maneuvers and water cannons. China's aggression is calculated to exhaust the Philippines. Chinese fighter jets conduct intimidating flybys of Philippine aircraft. The conflict is mentally and physically draining for Filipino personnel. China's actions assert that it dictates the rules in the South China Sea. The Philippines adopts a new strategy under President Marcos Jr. It embraces assertive transparency and strengthened alliances. The arbitral ruling is invoked in every international forum. The Philippine Coast Guard conducts patrols with journalists on board. Transparency exposes China's coercive behavior on the world stage. The Philippines revitalizes alliances with the U.S. and other partners. Joint patrols and military exercises strengthen security partnerships. Legal and diplomatic tools impose costs on China for its behavior. The strategy combines legal arguments, resilience, transparency, and alliances. The struggle for the West Philippine Sea is a defining issue for the Philippines. It has galvanized public opinion and fostered national unity. Transparency has built a powerful feedback loop of support. The fight is a testament to the international order governed by rules. The outcome will have implications beyond the South China Sea. The fight is about asserting the Philippines' sovereignty and rights. It reaffirms democratic values against authoritarian expansionism. The struggle is long, but it is a fight for the nation's soul. The Philippines stands for right over might, law over force, and unity.